My husband and my son were both killed.
So this is the infamous Fruitvale Station. You've heard of folks like Michael Brown from St. Louis, but here you might hear names like Oscar Grant, Derek Jones, Brandon Lee. The difference between myself, Brandon Lee, and Oscar Grant and others is that they died and they paid the ultimate price, losing their life to police brutality and senseless violence. We saw 2-3 different police cars with at least 2 officers in each car. And that represents the type of occupation that we felt while growing up in Oakland. No matter where you were, there was someone that had eyes on you. And based on their interpretation, our lives could be at stake. Because I've grown up with lived experience of being racially profiled, I don't want my kids growing up in that world.
One of the purpose of T4T is to bring law enforcement in the same room as community members, without the guns, without the uniform, where they really can see eye to eye with the people that they're serving. What this creates is this real engagement where they can actually connect beyond the stereotypes, beyond the judgments that everyone has with each other. And so they can be real and human and connect.
I think it's important that we practicalize or use practices and not the romanticizing of our past. And T4T has found a way to take the essence of what we consider community patrolling and community organizing and brought it to the boardroom. So we say the block to the boardroom, so to speak. And it's important that that connection and that synergy be made because there is no conversation without the grassroots dialogue.
As a black man who spent most of my life and energy fighting law enforcement on racial profiling cases, I believe it has become my calling to pave a proactive and preventative path to saving lives, reducing violence, and liabilities. The ordinance of Training for Transformation began in Oakland, California, where I was raised and the victim of racial profiling. But when we arrived here in Oregon, we began to work as an advocate and now an agent of change, bringing community and law enforcement together.
So if I were to describe T4T in a couple of words, I would say dedicated, committed, deeply driven, wise. Him and Hoon lead with their heart, and they're committed to this work.
Because I was so angry from this one incident that, every time I saw a police officer, I was upset or scared or feared them. So what was unique about the Train for Transformation program is you invite the community in with you along with the police officers. And I thought that was different. It brought a more humane aspect to the police. These people they're human as well. They make mistakes. Not all police are bad.
Yeah, treat the police courteously and with respect, not just for them, but for yourself. I've seen police misinterpret perhaps something that was happening on a traffic stop and someone gets hurt seriously. What we want to do on the street is make sure you're able to communicate with the officer if you're going to get a citation or get arrested, but we're not here to have any sort of conflict on the street. It's not a good place. It's not a good place.
My family was drastically impacted by the Oakland Police Department in 1993. My husband and my son were both killed. And a police officer was killed. As I said at the time, and I still believe, that if my husband wasn't black and if my son wasn't mixed, I think the police would have handled the situation quite differently.
So there was another example of a young man, African-American male, who was riding his bike through a college campus. An officer pulled a gun on him, thinking that he was a suspect, but he was wrong. Because of our community affiliations, we were able to bring the police chief together with this young man in the same room. With the law enforcement side, we were able to help them avoid a lawsuit. But for the young man, most importantly, we were able to rebuild his faith that he had lost through that experience. And what I found watching the chief look him in the eye and apologize for what happened to him, but most importantly, he asked, "Will you forgive me?" And so it's in that moment that I realized this is what I was called to do. And this is an example of training for transformation, taking traumatic experiences and turning them into healing opportunities.
T for T is a step up to bridge the community and the police.
You know, the Train for Transformation project brought new ideas on how they, community policing.
The work of T for T and police accountability efforts is absolutely vital.
For all those we've lost, we remember you. For everyone else, let's come together to build a better and safer community for our future.
I'm proud of you, Mom and Dad.